Hello out there. I know I didn't give much notice, but I wanted to do a quick tip today, and I thought, what better way to do it than live? I'm gonna. There, I know I didn't give much notice. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. Might be weird sound. I actually have several projects going, and I wanted to share with you how I might prepare ahead of time when I get a little flustered and I don't know where to start. Um, This will work from junk journaling to mixed media assemblage, even home decor. And I just wanted to share how I make up ahead of time these textures. I'm going to see. I don't expect anybody to be here, but if you do pop in, I'll try to keep an eye on the chat on my laptop. All right. First of all, this is Sharon, Texture Junkies, and this is your very first texture tip. Hashtag texture tip. So I have several products here. I sprained my wrist before Christmas. Sorry about that, guys. I have modeling paste. I have Light and Fluffy, which is new to me. I just used it for the first time. And I have crackle paste out. And any of these will work. You could even use a golden medium, perhaps. And I do that sometimes, but it's kind of clear. However, all of these things will get cut up, and I'll explain the best way to choose your stencils also. They'll get cut up and added to whatever I'm working on. Could be on a cover of a journal, could be a pocket. I just did this one that's probably a little wet. One of my favorite ways and best way to pick some of your stencils would be items that are complete. These are items that are complete. These are items that are complete because, and I've made a lot of these in the past. These are really cool when I use them on stuff. And you could even make dangles. I mean, you have endless possibilities if you use like chipboard, but you could use tissue so that you can just glue it down when you're collaging and then it'll blend in. These are small. And this stencil I hated when I got it, by the way. Hated this stencil. It was too rounded and kind of, I don't know, there's just something not polished about it, about the shapes. And I have never used it, but look at that. Look at the difference. And that's the Light and Fluffy. This is the first time I've used it. I'll probably cut these out and I'll have these beautiful elements to make bands or tucks, edges, covers, stuff, and I think I'm going to do another one of these. I actually ran these down and washed them, but the best way to do this, if you're planning ahead and you're going to make a bunch up, is to get yourself a tub of water to put them in. That way you don't have to worry about anything drying and you don't feel rushed. These are items I like to have ahead of time because when I'm making something, I don't want to wait for something to dry. I don't want to wait for, to pull all this stuff out. And it's so nice to have it made up ahead of time. And I just leave them whole like this unless I cut a piece off. And then I'll go ahead and cut the rest out and store them in something like, let me see if I can find one of them here. Something like that. Or you can put them in a 12 by 12, just all loose, and have them hanging out in there. That would be fine too. This is the Light and Fluffy. I'm going to do one for you. This is the regular modeling paste, and it tends to go under the stencil a whole lot more. See all of that? You can actually spread it out really thick and use an impression plate on it also. And that's what this is here. Let me put these aside. And like I said, I just keep these whole next to me, standing up in a bin. Never know what I'm going to want. The best way, this is the back of the chipboard, the best way to use these, to color these, would be to spray them, paint them. Alcohol ink works great on them, or the watercolor crystals, any of the, these guys here, any of the Lindy's Magical Shakers or Ken Oliver's, whatever his are called. I don't know. Those are great on there. Any medium really. I mean, ink works on them, but not the best. And you're assuming when you make these that the background won't be seen after you're done with it. So, that's why we're using chipboard. You could use anything, but the chipboard just makes a nice option. When it's done, you have more variety in ways you can use it. All right, so I'm going to use the light and fluffy. And I actually want another one of these because they're corners and I might want 4. Who knows? You never know. I hate it when my stencils get bent. That was cleaning it. I hate that. Okay, so I'm going to go right up to the edge here because I'm assuming these are going to get cut off. And with the light and fluffy, you can use a spatula, but anything more solid, you're going to want to use a card. But I noticed that this really works with a spatula. So I'm just going to go at it here. Kind of trying not to have really sharp lines, but in the end, I think you can probably sand them. I've never had to. Just kind of work all that on there. You actually need a lot less of it than you think because, I mean, it's going to be as raised as your stencil is thick, unless you really leave a layer of that on there with a lot of it extra on your stencil after you pull it up. And I try to make sure that it's level. All right. I could probably do this better if I just put more modeling paste on here, or light and fluffy, but the hard way. It is kind of fun to do too. It's fun to see the results afterwards. Maybe you're rattling around in your art room and you don't know what to do, or you have 5 minutes and you want to create something, or you have 5 minutes to go down and cook dinner. And, like I might do this just before I leave my art room because then it has overnight to dry. Although it doesn't take that long. We'll be using these in a variety of projects over the next year. And so watch for those. You might want to make some of these up ahead of time. You can do this with Nuvo mousse too, straight onto your project. It has, or maybe stencil butter. It has that thickness to it that you might want. And I notice I can work this in and it doesn't leak under, but with the others it does. I don't know what's different about light and fluffy other than it's really whipped. Reminds me of cream cheese frosting. Give me just a moment here. All right. So I feel like that's good. Now all these spaces with the extra where there's no holes in the stencil. I try to be all frugal with everything. You don't have to. I mean, that's just me. I'm a waste not girl. It's so nice to have these up ready ahead of time. And then it looks like you put so much time in your project, and really you did, but you made these up ahead of time so they're not, they don't take as long when you're just doing more than one. I hope your week is going well, and I hope your holiday was too. All right, so now I think, okay, and I was going to share the best ones to pick, not just items, but if you pick a stencil with a pattern on it, make sure it's small stuff, because if you use it in a dangle and you've got a giant stencil, it's not going to, plus you'd use a lot of paste, it's not going to be as noticeable. It'll just be thick, You can't cut it up smaller than you'd like, smaller than the shape. So does that make sense? That makes sense, right? Okay, so I'm going to use the crackle paste this time. You could do these on wax paper, tissue paper. I just prefer them all. We'll see if this works. I haven't done this with the crackle paste yet. I mean, I've used the crackle paste on stuff, but I haven't done it on a stencil. So we'll see. Alcohol ink is the best way to get those cracks to show. This one's fluffy enough for this. This is a really fluffy crackle paste. So with a crackle paste, I might use a larger stencil, knowing that I'm going to use it in larger chunks when it's done. It's a toss-up, really. I just prefer the smaller patterns if I'm going to do like a large, like overall. They're just more useful to me. With crackle paste, I know that you usually just want to wipe it in one direction. So that's why this is a trial, because this is new crackle paste to me. I've used it a couple times, but I followed my crackle paste experience for other products. We'll see how this one works. It might still crack. All right. So that's really all I have for you today. I hope that you join me on this adventure, and it'll be in my Instagram at #texture or texture tips. I will complete the information after the video ends today so that you know what's going on here and that you have other links. And you have a magical day. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.